So I think my next video is going to be fixing up the air compressor I got from my friend Mike. Well, I got this hose originally with a little Harbor Freight unit. It's that little one down there. And this hose kind of works, but because of the way I had the connections, I have to take this off every time I want to go from the air blower connection to, and of course I wasn't prepared, to this one to pump tires up. So, and the other problem is this pumps up pressure nice. It's a bit loud once it's on, but it pumps up pressure nice. And the problem is, if I leave this connector plugged into here, which this was the original connector on the unit, it leaks and the pressure drops. If I unplug it from here, the pressure will stay for days. So the unit itself is good up to, or was good up to this point, but plugging this in, there was a leak here. So I figured, okay, I'll look online and I'll see what I can do, and there were some other places around, and Steve Summers is one of the people I watch on YouTube, ended up getting, when he was redoing his shop, a set of these, the Flexzilla High Flow 14-piece kit. And that has the metal piece that goes on the tank. So it has this piece that then screws into the tank. And then that has the connectors, once you replace the quick connectors, well, it comes with quick connectors, but that then would connect to things like this hose reel, and then this would come in and that would snap right into there. And the cool thing about these is you can just push it right in and it seats. You don't have to play around. The other one you had to pull this back, snap it in enough, and then let go and it would lock in. These you just push in and it locks. So I like these connectors. And then I looked, it's like, okay, do I want to just get a 25-foot hose, or what do I want to do? So I decided to get a 50-foot hose reel, because that way I can, without moving the air compressor, I can take the hose out and pump tires up outside the garage, because 25-foot goes to the front of the garage but won't go clear to the car. And that way I wouldn't have to move the air compressor. And then it's like, okay, well, this is good, but it has connection to go on the wall, and my wall's kind of full of electrical and shelving and such, and I have a spot here, but there's a 3-foot hose between the hose reel that would come down to here, and that would make a right angle and kink the hose. So this project is to figure out how I can get the hose reel actually attached to something on the air compressor. So I know that's not standard, but I don't do standard, it seems. So the first thing I came up with was, okay, what do I have connection wise down underneath? And there's these 1/4-20 bolts, and it's like, alright, what do I have metal wise, because wood's obviously not going to work for this, because you wouldn't have a good enough connection. So I looked, and I have this piece of, I think, 1/4-inch steel, 1/8-inch steel. I think it's maybe 1/8 inch. But in any case, I had that from something I took apart, and I was able to drill that with the new drill press. So yeah, I know now for sure that does work great. And I was able to get, I had longer 1/4-20 bolts, so I was able to attach that, and I have this piece. So now that I have that piece, what I need is a piece that will come up that we can attach the hose reel to. So that's what I'm going to work on next. And I think I have part of it sorted out. So now that I got this sorted out, I think, since that has 1/4-20 bolts in, and this 2x4, I cut a corner out. This 2x4 had already had a slice up into that point, so I just cut down. That will hold this vertical, and that's solid enough when those bolts are clamped tight that this is not going to move, and the hose reel is not really that heavy, that this should work fine. The only problem is, because this is at a slant, I'm going to have to cut a vertical line such that the hose reel will stay straight because it's on a bracket which would allow it to flop back and forth side to side, which is good if it's on a wall, but not good if it's on a slant, because otherwise it'll just flop hard and stay flopped. This way, if I have that vertical, it should stay and it won't flop around quite as much. So next is take the 2x4 off and then cut that vertical. And it works. And there's no hissing leaks, which is good. Well, there was initially on here, but I had forgotten to tighten that. I just had it finger tight, so. Finger tight obviously doesn't work with air or water. But yeah, this is awesome. This connects in really nice. This goes up on. It stays where it's supposed to be. The ends snap on and off really easily. And that way I can just have the different ends with the quick connects and the same hose, and I don't have to be playing around with wrenches. I just unplug, pop, and let's see. If I do this, it's going to hit the floor, but that's fine. So yeah, it just does that. And not a whole lot of air escapes. And put it back in. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. That'll be a good test. If it works. Almost. And there you go. So you can even attach a new with one hand, and it works. So that's awesome. So and then normally I can just leave this sit down in there. And since this is kind of in the way, this makes a bit of a pop because there's a bunch of air. So assuming this does not end up being in the way, which maybe with the hose down there it'll be all right. I was worried because this is where we walk in, so I don't want to have it so that we catch on that. But I think down there it'll actually be okay. So if I have that there, I won't have to disconnect that connector very often. And on the other end, I can quick connect the two pieces I have, because like I said, right now I have this one for filling up tires and that one for blowing air, and I don't really use, well, so far I have not really used much else. I do have some air tools that I might also want to use, but I still have a bunch of fittings. So of this 14-piece kit, I used 2 of the big connectors. I used one of this style connector where it has the threads inside and then a piece that sticks out, and I used, I think, 3 of these where they have the threads and then the quick connect. In any case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces, so I used 5 of that kit somehow. So 1 piece is there, 1 piece is there, 1 piece is here, so that's 3, that's 4, that's 5. So yeah, so I used 5 pieces. But this is cool. I now have a 50-foot hose and attached to my mobile large air tank. So that means if I pump it up in here by plugging it in, I can take it out and easily pump up the tires outside. So, or just drag the hose out. And that hose is long enough that it'll reach anywhere in the garage easily, and it's a very lightweight hose. So yeah, I think this is going to work really cool. So I do recommend this Flexzilla high flow 14-piece kit. And let's see. So here's an example. Here's the old style that had the smaller holes, and here's the new style. So the new style has larger holes, so lets more air go through to the tools. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using this and that. The 50-foot hose reel for Flexzilla. And all it took was some extra bits that I had laying around. Piece of scrap 2x4, piece of scrap steel angle, and some bolts. And I just attached the top with those panhead screws, just screwed that in and that fit over, and then it slid down on tight. Yeah, it's not in the way of, I mean, there's other stuff here, but it's not in the way to get to the shelf. It's a little annoying to get to that outlet, but the only thing I normally ever plug in is the air compressor, so that's doable. And you know, it's not like the air compressor is stuck here, I can move it. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So now that I have this done, after this I can now work on the box. So, yep, that is the project for so far on Saturday. Yay!